That we can fit in.
Yeah, exactly, mate. Gotta make sure I can see the belt in between you guys. Is that IP Pro card on your side?
Yeah.
It is,
red one, yeah. Just to like against it. Plenty of trophies. I can see some. Is that a UK BFF old school one? That's gotta be yours, Mark.
It is. It is.
There's a load of different ones up here, to be fair. So many.
I know, man. And Mark, I still remember seeing you. Did you do by chance? Was it the UK BFF show in 2013? Ryan Terry, Rob Richards did the men's physique one. Did you complete that show?
I think that would have been the UK.
Nationals. Yes, in Lebanon Spa, I think.
Yeah, that's right. I think that was only my second ever show.
Yeah, with the show before that the year before the Sugar Classic.
It was the one before that was Stars of Tomorrow.
Stars Tomorrow, that's it. Yeah.
That is going back.
There we go. I know, man. We're going way back, past decade. Okay, look, guys, this one is all about creating that never give up mentality, something that has been shown in abundance in 2024. Kerry Sexton having competed in numerous pro shows to earn, and I use the word earn her ticket, got awarded a ticket to the Olympia 2025. And of course, Marc Hector, many people weren't sure if we'll see him back on stage, but he did come back on stage, and not just come back on stage, but made such an impression that plenty of media outlets was covering it, taking fourth place in Spain. So look, guys, great to have you both here. Guys, once again, anyone's watching, please direct any questions in the comments below. That'd be fantastic, and we'll go through the questions throughout. But I guess where I really want to start, I'll start with you, Kerry. Perseverance. I'm sure if I search the word perseverance in a dictionary, I should hopefully see your face next to it, because that is something that very much defined you in 2024. Was there any point throughout those shows when you were trying to chase that ticket to Olympia, was there at any point did you think it's not going to happen? I'm just going to have to park it and wait until 2025.
I think, so obviously I did 7 shows, but the first 2 shows I did, I actually placed 8th at one of them. And then I placed 12th at the next one. And I would say I wasn't in as much as I should have been in condition. So as much as I competed in the States, I wasn't, if I'd taken my physique like that I had towards the, show 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, I think it would have been a bit of a different story. But my plan initially was to go to the States and just do well over the States. Obviously, it's been a long time dream of mine to qualify for the Olympia. I think I've literally hashtagged the Olympia dream since I turned pro in 2019. But yeah, I would say I was at that kind of point at show number 2 where I was like, okay, so I just came 8th and then I've come 12th. And then it was like, am I really capable of this? But I had one more show, which was the NPC European, which was in front of Tyler. And I guess with all of the travel back to the UK and stuff like that, I just naturally got leaner and kind of caught my stride, and ended up placing 3rd at the NPC European. So I was like, okay, now we're in a bit more and I can see what I can see. I'm happy. But I think I got a message. I think I got a message, didn't I, from Meg, saying well done, what a great way to end the season. And both of us were and I was I literally from a physique standpoint feel like I'm only just getting started. So I was like, there's absolutely no way I'm shutting it down. And we thought at first it might have been a size thing, but I think it's that illusion, isn't it? The leaner you are, the more you pop through and things like that, and the bigger you look. So I never ran into that same feedback again. In fact, I had the head judge that placed me 12th, Maz, in where was it? Florida, I think. He placed me 12th. Then I had him and he placed me 2nd twice. So and he told me, nope, you don't need any more size. You're perfect. Just turn up. I think the only time I got generally a bit annoyed was when I came 3rd and then I came 2nd and then I came 2nd again. and I went backstage and I was like, oh, like, I'm never gonna get this, and sort of got out my phone straight away and started searching to see like what other shows were about and stuff like that. And he's like, look, you've got to go back on stage in a minute. And I was like, like, I don't know. And then, I don't know. I think at each show then, I just kind of had this feeling that it was coming. And then it was kind of like, okay, let's end it on another second. And then it was like, no, I still like felt like I had something more to give. But then I got really unwell for the 6th show. I can't even remember where I'm at now. I got really unwell. And I could not.
Was that a Spain show?
Yeah, and I could not breathe. It affected my physique. I had PMDD, which is something I go through like every single month, which is like, I'm going to say it's a problem with your hormones, but it's not, because it's the way your brain functions against your hormones. So my hormone panel like now is fine, for example, but my body can't handle the peaks and troughs of my hormones, or my brain can't. So I had that to deal with at the same time. And I had that, I was unwell. And then I came 3rd. And I think Marc then, at this point, I knew Marc was going to compete. And I was sort of like, I'm not done. But I also knew that he would need me because of everything he's just gone through, which we'll talk about. And I play a big role in like our preparation and getting things ready and cooking and like being there for him and supporting him on his contest prep, because he's just been through 6 of my shows. But Meg told me she had booked the plane ticket, and I literally said to Marc like about maybe doing the show, and we'll talk about it when I get back. And then I just said to him, I'm doing another show. And you were a bit like, okay, like I kind of like need you. But then it was like, okay, but you need to go, because if you need to go, you need to go. But I think a lot of people did think, you included, that I potentially should shut it down with the 3rd place, because it was a regression. But because I knew I was unwell, and like the feedback I had was like my core control, and so I couldn't breathe, I couldn't hold myself tight, and so I was just like, no, like I'm not done. I need to go again, and even if it means I'm going to be competing in your show, I don't know where I like. If I hadn't won Romania, I don't know whether I would have stopped or whether I would have carried on. But I just had a feeling inside of me that it's going to happen, and I'm going to make it happen this year. So, yeah.
So I want to throw something, because you went back to the point about you've used the hashtag the Olympia dream, and that's obviously a part of visualization. You put that out there in the world, and that added pressure. Maybe they put out there saying, "I'm going to make this happen," rather than keeping that a secret. So this is the element which I want to touch on the perseverance. Do you feel by putting it out there, did that create more positive energy for you to utilize to just keep pushing, knowing that maybe you've got a community that's jumped on the hashtag Olympia dream, knowing how close you are, that you weren't just doing it for yourself now, you've put it out there and you've got to make it happen?
Yeah, I think like over the years, having that hashtag out there, like, and maybe not being quite like ready to take that, it was something that was quite like, don't know whether I should be putting it out there, and sounded like quite like cocky in a way, and that I've had like quite a lot of like people doubt me and stuff like that, and my own doubt, of course. But I don't know, just this year it just felt different, and like I felt very positive in sharing that. Even at the start of my season, I just like, I knew, like, even like, you know, hashtagging the Olympia dream and coming 8th, then 12th, it's like, is this girl mad? But I just knew I wasn't where I needed to quite be, and that I just, the way I saw my physique like evolve this year, there was something in me. As much as I always say every placing, like you would know, I've always said like every placing is a fluke. Like I've placed 2nd the year before, 3rd the year before, but there's always been a 12th or an 8th, or so. It was only when like things really started to come, I kind of felt like, wow, okay, maybe I am meant to be here. Kind of. What would you say?
Yeah, I think even when you said about coming 3rd, you wasn't sure if you're going to continue. My thoughts was because it was more so I seen how unwell you were going into that 3rd show. So that was where my concern was. I've always believed in you. I always knew that you would get it. I thought you were going to get it the year before when you came 2nd. But you keep knocking on the door, and the signs from this year qualifier for the Olympia reminds me of when you went for your pro card, because you did how many shows there?
Same thing.
6 shows in 8 weeks.
Yeah, it's just that mentality of there's more, I've got to keep going. And I personally couldn't do it myself, that many shows back to back. There was 3 shows in three weekends?
It was like Texas
twice,
to Florida to UK, and then it was like a gap, and then it was a gap, and then another show, gap, another show, gap, another show. Kind of went like that. But considering like so I finished competing in December in 2023. And then I had a very rocky, and this seems to now be a trend for me, a rocky off season, and I got injured before starting prep. And I had like a good 8-week runway, and that was it. And I was sort of very much in a place of debating my whole season and whether actually to go ahead with starting contest prep. And there was quite a few times where I nearly did give up.
Yeah.
Wasn't there?
Yeah, and I think that was more so around the feelings of your hormones, like you touched on with the PMDD. Because it's pretty intense. It's like 3 weeks out of 4 weeks of the month, you suffer quite badly with it. So to be able to, from the outside looking in, to be able to push through and not only compete but still be there to support your clients, it's a testament to you, because like you said, you had your battles from the last off season, now you go through it again, and it's just that mentality, like, I'm still going to turn up, I'm going to do what I physically can at this moment in time.
But then that's where I think we're quite like similar. And it's funny because like whenever I would like, I don't know, moan about my situation, say like, oh, like this is, and then I would always be like, oh, this is hard, because it is hard and you're allowed to say it and feel your emotions. But then I would always be like, but you're going through this to him. And then if he ever said like, oh, about his, like what he was going through with his shoulder and stuff, that we would always flip it back on each other, wouldn't we? And be like, oh, but you're going through this. Oh, but you're, so we just bounce off each other in that way. Yeah. And it's the same as right now. I'm struggling with like an injury to my back. It's been a very rocky 8 weeks. But he's like, I get you. I can relate to you. And I'm like, I've seen you perform still not at your best and bring an incredible package, an undeniable like package. And so I have faith in that, you know, as well. It's helped.
I want to touch on something that we from the outside, we see maybe the environment or the circle that you guys have created. You obviously got yourselves together. You got Meg and Cuba as well. Mm-hmm. Now, something that a lot of people can relate to is maybe the environment they have around them, and try and keep all the factors around them controllable when trying to persevere for a certain goal. It may be for Ivy Pro card. It may just be for a class win. How important has the bubble you created around you, or the environment that you guys have created, how important has that environment been to get that end result through the perseverance of the Olympia ticket, or through the perseverance of getting back on stage after the injuries, after the surgeries?
What do you say?
I think environment is very important. For myself, I'm someone who doesn't like to take on too much from the outside, what doesn't serve as a purpose for myself, and Kerry's the same. For us, we know what our sort of goal is, what we want to work towards, but I think it's very important to know who's sort of in your corner and who you should sort of communicate with. And I think for anyone who's up and coming, there's always going to be some outside noise. I think social media is a platform where if you allow it to, it will consume you. But creating that environment where you know you've got a circle, a support network, like you've mentioned, we've both had our sort of trials and ups and downs. Knowing that you've got people you can lean on and who can give you maybe a word of encouragement or some support in that moment, I think it's very important.
But I think also is like appreciating like each other. Like I just remember there was like a moment of Marc's throughout his like injury and stuff, and you'd have some people from the outside saying like, it'll be fine, like be positive, all happens for a reason. Whereas like, I think it's really understanding that person. Like I knew that wasn't what he needed to hear. Like it was a rubbish situation to go through. And I almost like would say to him, like, I would allow him to feel what he needed to feel in that moment. So it's not being, because I guarantee if I had been that person like we probably would have distanced, wouldn't we, really? Because it was your situation. I was like, you need to see, because I broke my foot in like 2021 or something like that. So I had a year out, and then I never believed that like my physique would come back to like life, so to speak. And I think for him, post-surgery and stuff like that, everyone was saying that to him, but you can never believe it until you see it. So I think like also, as much as we have a positive environment, it is understanding that negativeness can come into it as well, if that makes sense. And it doesn't mean it's a forward spiral from there. It's just like letting each emotion be. And I think it's important for emotions.
Guys, I think there's just a bit of sound disruption coming from your side. I don't know if you can hear anything. Can you hear any ruffling when I'm talking?
No.
Okay. I'm just asking anybody else if there's any sound disruption. But let's just carry on, because I think only one person said there's a little bit of disruption. But I'll sort that out. So what advice? Oh no, there we go. It sounds good now. Perfect. My question is then, with that environment, so what advice would you give to people then in creating that circle to make sure that when they do go through those hard times, because not all of them are going to have people situation as yourselves where you've got a partner who does the same thing. Your coaches are also together as well. So there is that aspect. Unfortunately, some people don't have that in their arsenal. So we know the importance of the environment. We know the importance of the circle that people need to keep if they want to pursue excellence within bodybuilding. What advice would you give people to make those changes for the better and give them the best possible chance for when things get tough, they'll be able to persevere?
So I actually think social media, like I've created some really good friendships through social media. I think if you haven't got anyone in your direct circle, you can build such strong, good relationships with good people across social media. So if someone feels like quite like isolated and like they haven't got anyone, like I couldn't have got through my year without some of these other external people that I needed to voice upon sometimes when Marc was dealing with his stuff and things like that. So I think that's a good way. What would you say to answer that?
It's I wouldn't say it's a tricky one, but I think for most people who are in this sport, they've probably got a network of maybe people at the gym, or they might have a coach, or they might have some close family members. I think it's important when you sort of enter into your journey to know who these people are. And I don't think it's anything where you should feel like you shouldn't be able to open up and communicate, because I think that's very important, but it's knowing who these people are. And I think for myself, what I went through with my shoulder, it became quite clear who was actually closer to me than I actually thought. There were some people who reached out to me, checked in on me, who I never expected to. So sometimes it's the friendships, what you've formed already within the industry, will actually come to the forefront when you actually go through like some hardships.
I also think as well, it's one of those things where like trust if you're going through something, it can always give you that avenue to pour even more, even if you do feel like quite alone, like just pour more into the journey and keep doing the things you can control, because you're always going to get somewhere, rather than then looking back and like regretting that you hadn't.
So how do you know? Because like you obviously yourself, Kerry, you were put in a situation where you knew how close you were, so you kept doing another show, but you were in a very fortunate position where you got a partner in Marc who understands how much you want it, and he's going through the same thing as well. He's a pro. He knows what the end goal is. But for other people that may not be in that situation where they want to keep going, they know how close they are, but maybe they don't have that kind of those people that people around them that is that understanding. How do they know when it's gone too far? When maybe, you know what, it's not going to happen? Or can that seed just never go in your head?
I just think like your people want the best for you, and sometimes like relationships and stuff have like broken down through friendships and stuff like that for me. And I think, unfortunately, or I'm not sure how to say it, because be you and the world adjusts. The right people come to you. Like way back when, like I've been told like to stop and it's too much and things like that. But I wouldn't, because that's my dream. So you've kind of, I don't know how to word it. It's a savage one. I just don't think I would be able to personally be in an environment, like put myself in a situation where someone's wanting me to stop. I don't know. I don't know.
I know what you're trying to ask that question, Suki. So I think when you start a journey, or if you're going into a competition prep, you generally would know what your end goal is or what you want to achieve. So for myself, it's something where I make notes in my phone and I reflect and I look at it and remind myself what I'm trying to achieve. So when you start in your, let's say, your competition prep, you've probably had conversations with people from the start to say, oh, I'm going to be doing this show. This is what I'm aiming for. You probably had those initial conversations. And I think it's important, if you have had those conversations with those external people, try and keep that communication ongoing throughout prep. You'll notice a lot of people that sort of become distant or become shells of themselves as they get deeper into the prep. I think having that sort of openness and communication, even when you're deeper in the prep and you're tired, these are the people you can lean to. Yeah. And I think most people who train within a gym environment, you'll probably have your gym friends. Like you train at certain times where you'll see people, familiar faces. Those are the people where you can probably say, I can lean into and actually help. Because that communication and that sort of environment where it's a community feel can actually help you through.
So I want to ask then on the one thing that we do have control on, but fortunately we can't get away from it. And that can sometimes be the negativity of social media when people put a goal out and maybe they're not achieving it, or maybe they're just missing out. We've seen it before. People think that person's delusional, try to get IP Pro card. That person will never win a show. Sometimes it's very hard to not get your head around that negativity, despite all the other positive feedback or comments that individuals get in. Have you guys ever been in that situation? And if you have, how have you dealt with it to get over the other side and keep persevering away from that negativity?
So when I competed in, when was it, 2022, I was going to the Arnold's UK and people were saying, like, I think Marc's got a good chance. There was sort of quite a lot of hype around me, I would say, if that's the right word to use. And I never felt any sort of pressure going into that show because I was sort of confident in how I was looking. And then when I started to get close to the show, I was like, well, I'm not quite sure if I'm at that mark where I need to be. And I remember after pre-judging, I came off stage and I knew I was in the first call out, but I knew I wasn't in the top 3 places, which is where I really wanted to be. And I remember coming off stage and I felt quite upset because it's the biggest show of my life and I've not brought the physique what I envisioned that I was going to bring to the stage. And I had to go back out there on stage. And I remember doing my posing routine and I almost felt like I was being swallowed up on stage. Like I want to get off stage as soon as possible. But I also knew that I needed to still pose as best as I can to try and get at least a 5th place because it wasn't given, because the first call out maybe had 6 or 7 people in. I placed 5th. I came off stage, got feedback from the head judge and bodybuilders like retired bodybuilders like Flex Wheeler, Jay Cutler saying, got amazing physique, you just need to dial it in a little bit more. And I remember then going on social media and the comments, what was there about, you shouldn't have placed 5th, his conditioning's off. And I know it wasn't what it should be, but at that moment in time, I just felt like I need to get away from social media. I literally didn't go on there for days. If anything, it sent me the other way. So because I knew I needed to be in more condition, I was saying to my coach, what do I need to do more? What do I need to do more? And if anything, I use that as fuel to improve myself. And even when I've gone through that season, so my best placing was 2nd in 2022. I wanted to really qualify for the Olympia that year, and it didn't happen. And then I've had my injuries with my knee and then had 2 shoulder surgeries. My whole time was, even when they said to me with my last consultation with my shoulder, where they said, we can't do an open surgery, which you probably need for your shoulder to get it right. So that's pretty much your career done. And I just remember sitting in there, coming out, and I was just of the opinion, well, I need to at least try, because the defining moment was, for me, in 2022, I didn't look how I wanted to look. So even when I was going through my hardships with my shoulder, my constant reminder was, I need to be better than 2022. So every action from 2022, even through the hard days, it was always brought back to, I know there's more than what I displayed there. So even stepping on stage in 2024, when I placed 4th out of 26, 27, I stepped away thinking, this is a much better physique. I've kind of redeemed myself for what happened in 2022. So I guess my main point around this is, know what you need to do in that situation for yourself. And for me, it was taking myself away from social media, reflecting on what I needed to do, and actually putting a plan in place to actually move forwards, and keeping that in my mind as a constant daily reminder is what helped me to push forwards to the point where I'm at now.
Sure. And I think for me, since I've kind of turned pro, and then more so since I have been with Marc, so I turned pro in like 2019 November, and I was with Marc from like 2020, so quite soon. But obviously, people have always, like, literally will be in a gym or something, and it will be like, oh, Marc, like you're going to qualify for the Olympia, and like I would just be standing there like, and I actually had like someone in a gym, and I recorded it on my phone, laughing at me, saying, you'll never make it. You're in Marc's shadow. You'll never make it to the Olympia. You haven't got the look. You haven't got what it takes. It was savage. I didn't say anything back. It just took me back, you know. But quite often I've been in that situation so many times. We'll walk into any gym, and it will be like, oh, Marc, you're looking good. You're going to qualify for the Olympia this year. I'm going to come and watch you at the Olympia. And I just stand there like, and he's always like, yeah. And Kerry as well. Like, so I've had quite a lot of time where it's been like very, like, from outsiders, like it's been like unrealistic from their point of view, a lot of people. But I know to trust my work ethic. I know that I work hard. I know that I do everything that I'm supposed to do always. And I think that's what can carry you there. And that's where my little bit of belief, because I don't have much all the time, but I just know that there's a little bit of belief in me through what I do and how I show up for myself every day. And that's where my little bit of belief comes from.
I mean, I just saw a message from Petra, who I know is also IP Pro, say, hi, Kerry, I feel you. I feel the same way here. Guys, please, we've got 5 more minutes. Please send over any questions in the comments. I just wanted to touch on that. So you just mentioned about that small little belief, because my next question was going to be that when times do get tough, where do you go to call upon that little bit of strength just to not let that negativity eat you up? We've all been there, where if you do focus on it, unfortunately, it's like you're digging your own grave. You're just going to keep putting yourself in a deeper hole if you do focus on it. So it's important to have something that you could just attach yourself to pull you out. Where does that come from for you two? Because you guys have gone through an abundance of obstacles or hurdles in 2024. So where does that come from?
I think, like, for me, all the hard times, because I've had so many different hard times throughout my career, I always know, like, I made it through before I can make it through again. Like, I would say, like, right now at the moment, I just got some scan results back, and it's like, yeah, you got 3 bulging discs, and I haven't trained properly for like 8 weeks, and my exercise selection is like the same exercises, like minimal no hip thrust, no this, no that, no RDL, stuff like that. And I think, like, it's a very, like, to and fro kind of thing. 1 minute you're like, what I'm doing isn't enough, and then the next minute you're like, okay, at ache, what I'm doing is enough, and my not working hard is still working hard, and I'm doing everything else I can, and he's just come out on top, and look at what he's gone through. So if I'm still doing what I'm doing at 80%, like, we can still make it, and I am going to get better. And there is a lot of to and fro, and I think, but ultimately you don't stop doing what you do. So that makes you get ahead of the game, essentially, even if you don't quite see it at that moment.
that answer, I will throw it to you both as well, because that answer may answer this question that comes from Claire Grover. Claire, I placed second in the overall for the Ivy Pro cards 6 times. I remember seeing at Fit Expo last year. You told me this. Last year, she took completely off. She's going to come back this year. What is your advice to someone like myself, so like Claire, who has become so close so many times, but still have a lot of self-doubt? You've both probably been there. I think it's something you both can relate to. What advice would you give?
It's very similar to how I turned IFBB Pro. So, like, I did 6 shows in 8 weeks, kept placing second and everything, keep winning the height class, everything like that. But one thing is, I think that is always going to be a level of self-doubt. But you're either going to run from that or let it fuel you. And I think it's really important to just let it fuel you and, like, believe it. Like, you've come second in overall so many times. Like, you're close. You just have that, like, little bit of belief in your work ethic and the placings that you've received so far, but also understand that if, like, the first show back, like mine, for instance, like 8th and then 12th, like, if it doesn't go well, like, it's a game and you keep turning up. So just keep taking the feedback, keep putting your all in, and, like, even if it doesn't go your way, you're always going to learn something from it. And when you do achieve that, you're not going to regret what it took you to get you there, because you will have learned so very much about yourself.
I think just to add to that as well, the fact that you come second so many times, you're knocking at the door.
Yeah.
And you would have got feedback from the judges at that time. And if you took a whole year off, I'm sure you're going to come back with so much more improvement. So it's about trying to have that tunnel vision and remembering what your goal is and reminding yourself daily. And that might be you visualizing actually being on stage. So for myself, when I was going back on, I knew I was going to be competing again. I'm already going through in my mind what it's going to feel like when I walk out from that first time, when the crowd see me, what it's going to feel like when I start going through my posing. So I'm already thinking, even like the free posing, what's 30 seconds, I'm already picturing being on stage and I'm already picturing how I want to present myself. So I think being able to take yourself to the place where you want to be, which is first place, you have to try and remind yourself, and that might be looking back on videos where you're placing second and you know you're so close. Then look at the pictures from the transformation you made during the off-season period for a year. Use that as your sort of benchmark to say, actually, well, I was this close before, but look at the improvements I made. So I've got to be right up there. And just remind yourself daily of what you want to achieve, because your mind's a powerful tool. And if you let it consume you with the negativity, you'll start to put yourself down. But you've got to have that self-belief, because placing second that many times is a testament to how actually good you are as an athlete.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I think remembering to enjoy the journey as well, and don't put so much pressure on that placing. Make sure you take everything you can from the journey, because you don't want to look back when you can no longer do this sport and think, wow, I spent most of it stressing about X, Y, and Z instead of, like, enjoying it. So I think you'll get more from the more you can enjoy a process. I think the more you're going to get from it, as well as your win that you will get.
I think
I'll tell you what.
Just to quickly add, so for myself, what I did when I came back, I actually didn't really put too much out on social media. I sort of took a step back and just focused on myself. So don't look at too many other people who you might be competing against. Just literally zone in on what you need to do for yourself. 100%. And I think that massively helps, just taking yourself away from sort of like the spotlight, so to speak.
Yeah, for sure.
I just got to finish on 2 things. One, I mean, Kerry, out of all the shows you picked to win your Olympia ticket, in my opinion, you picked the best one, mainly because of the Romania belt behind you, which is my favorite award that anybody possibly get.
Huge lineup.
I know, huge lineup, unbelievable stage, but that belt is just everything. It's really is just something that's probably from the wrestling and boxing fan.
Yeah,
that's just another level. And Mark, I do need to ask as well. Look, Kerry's at the Olympia 2025, which obviously at the moment there's 8 UK and Ireland competitors already qualified for Olympia 2025. Last year there was 7, so it's already a record, and we still got another 10 months to go. I mean, what are your plans for 2025?
Get that qualification. I won't say which shows I'm looking at, but definitely to get that qualification. I'm absolutely made up that Kerry got that qualification because she was so close the year before, and now she's got it. And my goal is to meet her there as well and actually be on that stage as well. So,
and I wholeheartedly believe it.
Everything's going great right now. So I'm just fully focused on what I need to achieve for this year.
And that's always been our dream, hasn't it, to make it there together? And it is going to happen. It's going to happen.
You have to have a whole new hashtag now, Kerry.
I know. Hashtag it's going to happen.
Well, look, guys. Look, obviously, first of all, I mean, Kerry, obviously, I saw the perseverance through getting your pro card. Not just Olympia ticket, but we saw that, and as Marc mentioned, the amount of times, and it's no surprise that that's the same thing that happened for you to get the Olympia ticket. It's just like struck twice, and yet you still got the result. And obviously, to see Marc get back on stage after having seen you compete from 2012, 2013. I mean, look, obviously we knew you for the muscle tech or body temple. Yeah, back in the early body power days. So, guys, fantastic. Obviously, look, great having you guys here. Really appreciate that advice and the things you told about perseverance and never give up attitude, putting things into existence, visualization, and of course, more importantly, that kind of circle, that environment you've created, which you guys put out on socials, is I can see why it's built the foundations of a successful perseverance and got you both to where you want to be. So thank you guys so much for being part of this webinar.
Thank you for having us. Honestly, I think it's a really great thing that you've done. And it's very inspiring, actually, as well, the whole journey with Maddie. So I hope there are lots of donations coming in. We've read a lot about her story and seen a lot, and that's perseverance. That's perseverance through and through. So, yeah.
100%. Guys, thank you again so much for your time. You guys take care.
Thank you.
See you later.
Bye.
Thanks.
Take care.